you. For me, this is how I go about relationships, right? Maybe that's not the best way, but I will trust you and then I'll start subtracting. That's all I'm gonna do. Right? Give you full 100% trust and I'll start subtracting. I will love you, start subtracting.
Because when I feel safe, like I'm comfortable and I'm able to express myself in any way. So it's always nice to be able to feel like you're in a comfort space where you are able to be vulnerable, like they were saying, and be able to communicate.
Communication has been undervalued when it comes to intimacy because a lot of the time, if you go out and maybe ask the general public, we see intimacy as hugging, touching, intercourse, those kinds of things. But in the background, before you even get to that point, I think you need to have a good understanding and communication.
Last year, we had an honest and eye-opening conversation with men about intimacy beyond the physical touch. Today, we shift the lens. For far too long, intimacy has been reduced to physical touch, but as women, we know it is far more layered. It is emotional, spiritual, intellectual, and actually deeply personal. So, in today's conversation, it's not just about how women give and receive intimacy, but also about how we define it, what it costs, what heals, and what we need from ourselves, our partners, and our communities. Let's talk about intimacy not just as an act, but as a language, a rhythm, a connection, one that goes beyond the physical touch. Today, I am honored to be sitting with an incredible all-woman panel who I will now ask to come onto the screen and introduce themselves. Hi, ladies. Welcome to today's conversation. So I just would like you to briefly tell our audience your name, what you do, and what you hope to get out of this conversation today. Intimacy beyond the physical touch. Just briefly before we start our conversation. I'm gonna start with you, Lihle, Tandega, and then Dumi.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lihle. My surname is Shongwe. I live in Johannesburg. I have a 10-year-old son. I'm a data analyst in FMCG. What I am hoping to get out of the conversation is just to learn a lot, I suppose, from the panelists. And yeah, I suppose that's it.
Hi, I'm Tanegam Tiane. I forgot what I do. I work for the ambulance service. I'm an EMA, and I live in the UK. And what I hope to get out of this is some thought provoking conversation, something that's going to leave the mind open, and some food for thought.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dumi. I'm a teacher. I'm also a mother to a toddler who is 2 years old. And I'm just hoping to learn, I guess, from everyone because I can't recall ever having this conversation before. Thank you.
All right, ladies, welcome. Well, I am Ngosi Pile Kanyile, and today I'm your host. And basically, I am gonna try and take you guys into the depths of intimacy, and I hope you guys are going to be honest and open, right? So, Lihle, let's start with you. When you hear the word intimacy, what comes to mind? In society, it has always been associated with sex, right? But when you hear the word intimacy, what comes to mind? What thought is provoked within you?
I think it's to undress yourself, right? Mentally and emotionally. So intimacy, like it sounds like you are saying into me, see, right? So it's just a matter of what it is that I think. I let you in on it, how I feel. I let you in on it without sugarcoating everything so that you can truly see me as I am. how I think, understand how I think and where my thoughts come from, and also for you to understand where my emotions come from. Yeah, that's what comes to mind.
And what about you, Tandega?
I think pretty much the same as Lishe, where she said about openness, undressing yourself in a way where your thoughts are vulnerable, but being with another person, like you say, whether it be in your community, with your other half, whether it be your friends, but being in a space where you are vulnerable, where you see into each other and you see your true beings, and it's a safe space for you to feel that you can be vulnerable and open and transparent.
Mm.
Mm.
And Dumi, do you feel that women are allowed to, or rather, do you feel like a safe space has been created for women to voice out the intimacy language, if I can put it that way, without feeling um, shamed and, deemed to be forward?
I think it depends on the type of relationship you have with whoever it is that you have an intimate relationship with. For example, like I in an African context, that might actually be a problem. But then with this generation, I think we are getting there because, like, for us, for me personally, if I'm truly free and I'm able to trust you, then I believe that especially if we're having like an intimate relationship, then I'm able to open up. But I think slowly but surely we're getting there. But then when we look at it from a perspective of an African concept, we are still heading there. We're not 100% there.
Hmm. All right. Um, and do you also view intimacy the way that Tandega and Lihle do, or do you have a different perspective on what intimacy means to you?
I do view it in the same way, but for me, trust is more. It's like it's the base of what intimacy for me is because I need to be able to trust you before I
Right.
can literally be intimate with you. Yes.
Mhm.
So I do share the same sentiments.
Mm.
Okay. So, guys, at its core, intimacy, as you guys have expressed, it means closeness, it means connections, being able to be vulnerable. There's your physical intimacy, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, creative, So I want to ask you, Lihle, true emotional intimacy requires vulnerability and the courage to be fully known. And as a woman, how do you decide when it is safe to let someone in? What is your process to opening up or rather holding back even? How has that also shaped your relationships?
I think that I don't have a process, guys. Me, I'm just an open person, right? I don't like testing people, to be honest with you. I don't mind being tested if that's your process, it's fine, but I don't like testing people. I I rather be a person that you can trust first before I can expect trust from you, right? I found that that's much more effective than me saying I need to trust you so that I can open up. So I rather be the person that you can trust first. And then after you have gained your trust, then the intimacy has already begun, right? Because I am an open person, I don't have a problem with, or rather, I don't have a process in terms about the intimacy and how we get there. So if I'm open and I realize that perhaps my honesty is probably something that you are not yet matured for, and then I hold back, but not because I intend on holding back, but because I'm just allowing you maybe to gain that understanding of me first and then gain that maturity before I can lay it on you, right? Because let's be honest also, intimacy requires a level of maturity, okay? Because if you are really going to get to know a person, that means that you are going to be exposed to their worst sides, you're going to be exposed to their good sides, you are going to see them at their worst, and you're also going to see them at their best, right? And the parts where, in fact, all of these things require a certain level of maturity, because if I see Utandega at her best, that might just invoke jealousy, right? And that jealousy will now hinder our intimacy, right? And at the same time, if I see her at her worst, that also might invoke a bit of judgment, right? Now, if I start judging her, what's going to happen is it's going to hinder the intimacy, right? So for me, it's I lay down my honesty on people just little by little, just to see if they have the maturity. And if they do have the maturity, then I don't hold back. Whatever it is that you ask, I will answer it with all honesty, whether mentally or emotionally, right? But if I
Mm.
see that, okay, you are not yet matured as much, it's not because I'm holding back, but it's just to protect the relationship that we have, in order for us to continue relationshiping, but also giving you the space to grow into maturity before I can be absolutely vulnerable with you, because you just might not be able to handle certain things, you know? So yeah, so that's how I really go about it. It's not a matter of I need to trust you. For me, this is how I go about relationships, right? Maybe that's not the best way, but I will trust you, and then I'll start subtracting. That's all I'm gonna do, right?
Mm.
Give you full 100% trust, and I'll start subtracting. I will love you, start subtracting. That's what I'm gonna do. I can't. I don't have the grace to learn to love you. I don't have that. I don't have the grace to for us to work on the trust up until I get to a point where I'm like, now I really trust to me. Just I don't have that. It's either I trust you or I don't. And then I don't. I have the reasons, and it is something that I've already seen, not things that I'm imagining. Right. So yeah, so that's how I go about it.
Okay. So Sunday only just spoke about how intimacy also requires a sense of maturity, because even if someone is doing well, a sense of jealousy can be invoked within someone if they don't have the right level of maturity. And I know from you, in terms of intellectual intimacy, which is not about just sharing ideas. It's also about challenging and stretching and even evolving your partner's thinking. Even it's not doesn't have to be your partner. It could be a friend, it could be a sister, it could, but it's about evolving each other's thinking and challenging each other's thinking. I want to know from you, which kind of intimacy do you feel like has been undervalued, in terms of really putting it out there, something that is important to ace in relationships.
I think communication has been undervalued when it comes to intimacy, because a lot of the time, if you go out and maybe ask the general public, we see intimacy as hugging, touching, intercourse, those kinds of things. But in the background, before you even get to that point, I think you need to have a good understanding and communication in a way that I can come to my partner and say, "Hey, this is a very uncomfortable an uncomfortable conversation, but we need to be able to have it and come with an outcome, and be okay to disagree and go. We don't have to go our separate ways just because we disagree. It doesn't have to be a big fight just because we disagree, but we have to have an understanding. I respect your opinion, you respect my opinion, but where do we meet halfway in order to um work together to that next point of intimacy, where maybe intimacy can be physical. So, for example, I can say, I had a bad day and I want to come home and tell my partner about it, but I can see that he had a bad day too. So I might think, oh, if I go and tell him, it might ruin his day. But if I can sit down, hey, babe, let's sit down. Tell me about your day. What upset you today? I'll tell you what
Mm.
upset me today. And then it might turn into a big argument, like, oh, why do you feel that way? Da, da, da. It might turn into a big argument. But where the good communication comes in is, explain to me why you feel that way. How can I fix that? How can we get from point A to B? And then we come together, and intimacy can be lovely then. Whatever happens later on, it happens. But I think in general, people miss the communication spot, even vulnerability in communication. Like I say, to me, I think you need to be able to feel safe enough and vulnerable enough to have uncomfortable conversations with those that you feel intimate with. Because you can't just be intimate with everyone. Because I think that's the art of intimacy, is that it's not with everyone. It's with a select few or one or two people. So being like your closest friend and being with the person you share a bed with. So it's not for everyone. And in order for it to just be those select few, you have to be able to decipher who can I have uncomfortable conversations with? Who does my communication fit like a puzzle with?
Mm.
So yeah, long answer short, it's communication.
It's right. And I actually think you are absolutely correct, because, the communicating part of intimacy is you could regard it as a gateway, because before you guys communicate with each other, you don't even know how you want to receive or give love. You don't know how that whole relationship is going to go. Right. But do me, let's talk about self-intimacy and obviously how before you can learn to be intimate with someone else, you need to learn how to be intimate with yourself first in terms of the kind of boundaries you set for yourself, the kind of lines you draw for yourself, what you allow yourself to do, you know. Um, and with self intimacy, it also requires vulnerability, facing your fears, your desires, your flaws, and being honest with yourself. And I want to ask you, in your experience, what challenges do you think arise when you try to cultivate your inner closeness, or rather your self intimacy?
For me, it's like
Mm,
as long as you're not aware, like you're not self-aware of who you are and the things that triggers you and the things that you enjoy and all those things, then it will be difficult for you to understand or to even be intimate with yourself. So that's why sometimes it's very important to take time to get to learn more about you, especially in the like in your everyday life, so that when you are able to understand who you are, then you'll be able to know how is it that you're going to pour into yourself, or what is it that you're going to do to be able to pour into yourself. Then
mm,
that way you learn about yourself, and then you'll be able to have like self intimacy, like you're saying.
mm. And to me, how
Yeah.
do you feel like, or how do issues like body image, motherhood, or past hurt or past traumas shape the way women show up in intimacy?
Yo, it's a lot. Hey, it's a lot, especially with motherhood, because like sometimes after pregnancy, like there are things like post, what do we call this? Postnatal depression.
Postpartum.
Because, yeah,
Yeah.
your body changes, and then now you have to like get used to how you are, and then sometimes it might take a while for you to actually go back to the initial state of how you used to be because of the new changes and also adapting to everything. So as long as you are not able to understand what is it that you're going through, so that you can be able to attend it, then that can actually be a problem.
Mm. And Dishle, do you have the same sentiments, or is it slightly different?
Um, I don't know. That's self-awareness is preached quite a lot, né? But I don't think I'm not sure if a lot of people quite understand it, because self-awareness comes with also just getting feedback from people. It's not just you knowing what it is that you know, right? And if you are not open to getting feedback from people or asking for
Mm,
feedback, you can only be self-aware up to so far, you know.
mm,
But there's blind spots. I'm a blind spots you can only hear from people, right? That yes, when you have the tendency of doing this, you have a tendency of doing that. But all along you didn't know all of that stuff, right? And so I think yeah, self-awareness goes as far as yes, I do my part, but I'm also relying on the people around me to make me aware of things I do that hinder intimacy, right? And so yes, you might be going through your body changes, or you just might be going through any changes in life, right? And then things out and you are shutting people off, and you are not aware that that's what you do when changes take place. But getting that feedback from people to say, Yazi, I want to help you, but the problem is you are shutting me out when I try to help you. And you ask yourself, me shut people out? Where? What do you mean? And then they'll give you examples and say, well, in this instant, I tried to do this and this is how you reacted. Then you become a bit more self-aware. But yeah, I think that self intimacy, yes, you can be honest with yourself, but at the same time, you need to rely on other people's honesty about you, before you can actually be honest with others as well, and be able to be honest with others. But if you're not willing to get the feedback, no matter how harsh it is, yeah, I don't think you'll be able to achieve that, the pure self intimacy, right? You need that criticism. You need that feedback from people in order for you to go and sit down and say, okay, I was talking to Umpil and she mentioned this, and that. And you think about whatever scenario that she brought up where she said you acted in a certain way, you think about it. And then it will click with, oh, actually, I did that. Ne? Then you ask yourself, yeah, Bono, it's okay, but why did I do that? That is self intimacy now. But Lisha, why did you do that? Why did you act like that? Where is that coming from? Then you have to go back to Mpile and say, actually, Mpile, as in, my intention wasn't to hurt you. It was, I was just reacting the way that I best know how, right? But I didn't know, Utige, it hurts you, and so on and so forth. So for me, it's, you can only be self-intimate up to so far, but you really need the feedback from others to let you know. Because sometimes you can have low self-esteem in a certain area and you don't even know. You're just like, I'm not interested, but the lack of interest is actually just lack of confidence, right? But you'll never know up until someone tells you, nah, you're actually not confident in that area, right? And you can't improve, right? So again, it goes back to what Sunday was saying, it's communication. And I'm just doing it with yourself, right? And you're asking yourself questions, okay, but why are you not confident there? But why? Yeah.
And what about you, Tandega, in the self-intimacy aspect of things? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, a bit of both of what the ladies have said. I agree very much with what they've said. I think self-reflection for me is one of my highest things where I've come to terms with the self-intimacy thing. So I am a big journaler. And in my journal, I ask myself questions. I reflect. So if I've had, let's say, a bad conversation with Dumi today, and Dumi has told me that Sunday, I didn't like the way you presented yourself and this, and that. I was only trying to come at you about this. Then I've reacted badly. I can go home at the end of the night and I will write about that, okay, this is what happened in this conversation. This is what I could have done better. I'm reflecting, not just thinking, because like someone has mentioned, would say self-awareness is just about what I know, but it's also
Mm.
how do people perceive me? How do I carry out what do I know? Am I okay to criticism? Am I open to criticism? Am I open to adjusting what others tell me I need to adjust? Because as much as I need to be self-intimate, but what does that look like to other people? My self-intimacy could look like a toxic person, could look like toxicity to someone else. So how does my self-intimacy present itself to others? So I use journaling quite a bit as where I ask myself questions and I answer them and I take feedback from other people and I also put them in there. And there's just something quite intimate that I see about myself reading words, whether they're negative or positive, on a piece of paper about me. And I feel like I become vulnerable with myself then because I have to then accept that this is me and then change it just by, I can't just be like, oh, well, this is just who I am. It's, I accept it and this is what I'm willing to do to change it, which again, I think another big key part of intimacy is acceptance.
Mm.
Yeah, can I just add something there? When Tanega was saying, Wuti, like, you need to be honest, right? Like, with intimacy, you need to be honest, right, with yourself, and you also need to be, how can I put this? Your your listening skills must be honest as. It's great that you think you are fantastic, but in the greater scheme of things, no one is that fantastic, guys.
Mm.
Like, you can only be fantastic up to right. But if you are realistic, you will know that if Utandega says, Lisa, you don't have patience, chances are it's true because I'm not that great. Yes, I'm great in certain areas, but patience is just not one of them. And it's
Mm.
okay to do that, you know? I think, yeah, I think, again, and I like this perspective where you said, my intimacy can look like I'm a toxic person, right?
Mm.
Which is why I'm saying, Wuti, intimacy requires honesty, right? Which you highlighted, Tandega, in communication. Ne? Intimacy requires honesty. If you're not honest with yourself, there's no way you'll be
Mm.
honest with other people, right? And if
Mm.
other people speak to you honestly and give you like constructive criticism, you won't be able to receive that because in the initial stages of intimacy, which is with yourself, that is not part of your foundation. So when it comes from someone else, you won't be able to receive it, and then it becomes toxic, right? Then if you bring in like physical intimacy, it's the same as if you just keep telling your partner that you're great, and they're telling you you're great, but you know that somewhere somehow nobody was great over there, right?
Mm.
That relationship has a bit of toxicity in it, right? It has a bit of toxicity in it, honestly. And it goes back to if you are toxic with yourself, chances are you'll be toxic with other people. So I think that was a great perspective actually to say your intimacy could actually come across as being toxic to other people. Yeah.
Mm. Wow. I love that insight. But Dumi, now I want to transport you back to a time where you truly felt seen and known. You know, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner that made you feel this way. It doesn't have to be a friend. It could be actually anyone at any form of intimacy where you truly felt like, look, I feel seen, I feel known. Can you take us back to that moment if you remember?
Well, I can say like most of the time, or I can refer to recently, like when I'm at work and then I'm doing all these other things like workshops whereby I'm always like explaining things to my colleagues and they interact. And sometimes some of the colleagues are not even people that I know. But then, like, after presentations, the feedback that I always get from them, I've had this, I think, for on 3 occasions, whereby they literally come to me, or maybe they would go to my boss and be like, yo, this lady was able to do this and that, and how she explained everything was so much easier for us to understand. And yeah, that is the one incident that I can say I felt like I was really seen, because me personally, I'm an introverted person, but as much as I'm an introvert, I can be very open when I'm comfortable or when I'm doing something that I'm fully like capacitated on. So yeah, that's like the one incident that I can think of now.
Mm. And before I move on, how do you love when you feel safe compared to how you love when you are guarded? And I mean, I want all of you ladies to think about this question because I want to hear from all of you. But let's start with you, Dumi. Um, how do you love when you feel safe versus how you love when you are guarded?
Is is it me or is Tumi frozen? Oh, she's back. Ah, she
Okay,
left.
Alicia, go for it.
That's that's really nice that she felt seen recently. That's
Mm,
really nice.
yeah.
That question was very fitting for her. That's really nice. Dumi's back.
I'm
I All right. So, Dumi, my last question to you. Well, it wasn't the last one, but before we got cut off, I was asking you, how do you love when you feel safe, compared to how you love when you are guarded?
How do I love when I feel safe compared to how I love when I'm guarded?
Yes.
I think it's always nice because when I feel safe, like I'm comfortable and I'm able to express myself in any way.
Mm,
So it's always nice to be able to feel like you're in a comfort space where you are able to be vulnerable, like they were saying, and be able to communicate. And especially for someone with my personality, because that doesn't really come out very often. I think Umpile, you are very much aware of that. I've
yeah.
been in spaces where like I'm with a lot of people and then I just withdraw because that's how I am. And when it
Mm,
comes to like other people, they might look at it and be like, no, yes, hello or whatever. And it's not even that. Like I need to be able, like I need to for me to be vulnerable around a lot of people, especially if there's like people that I'm not familiar with. It takes time for me to be able to open up and be comfortable and so on. Yeah.
mm. And when you got it, it would translate to you sort of pulling back and drawing
Yeah.
away from the crowd. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Lishe?
Man, because if you want to be guarded, just don't fall in love. Hey, just don't love people. Like
Mm,
it's so much work, man, to hold back love. Love is so powerful that like holding back becomes very uncomfortable and it hurts you, the one who's holding the love back, you know?
mm,
So I feel like if you're not willing to be vulnerable and open and honest and whatever that feels like for you, or whatever safety, however you describe safety, right? Just don't do it. Don't do it. It's a lot of work. It hurts because one thing about love is that it demands to be expressed.
mm,
Unfortunately, it's not something that you can keep inside for too long. Yes, you can keep it inside, but you can't keep it inside for long. When a
mm,
person has a crush on you, or a person likes you, you can just see the change in their body language, the way they talk to you, the tone of voice. All of a sudden, umuntu say romantic with you, but with everyone else, they are very chajarach.
mm,
Tell, right? And so the nature of love is such that it needs to be expressed. Now, if I want to be in an unsafe environment, oh my God, that thing hurts. And I've been there before, right? Where you want to express your love to this person, and it's not even a matter of they don't feel safe, but it's a matter of they also don't know how to receive it, right? Because, hey, guys, people have gone through a lot of stuff, right? And so, even when you give them too much love, or when let me not say too much love, because you can't quantify love, right? But when you love a person correctly, they don't know how to do that. And that can in itself create a space that is unsafe for you, because now you are constantly facing rejection because the person is not understanding why you are coming through the way that you're coming through, you know? And then when you say, hey, Latin, the sky's the limit. That's what it is. You just express yourself, and I think that the nice thing about it is when the environment is safe, is it goes back to what Tandega is saying. The communication is also easier. You are able to say, you're not receiving my love well, like what's going on, and you know that you're going to get that communication back in order for you to be able to adjust your love in such a way that fits this person the way that they want, and that creates a bit of some safety of, this thing that is burning me on the inside, I am able to release it, and it's going to be received well. And should it not be received well, there is also that maturity or that safety to express, Uguti, you are not receiving me the way that I want to be received. Whereas if it's unsafe, it's a constant rejection that comes with no explanation. And even when the explanation comes, it comes with a bit of dishonesty, right? And when it comes with dishonesty, it's okay. Now I don't know what to do with this love that I'm holding in. You are saying one thing, but you're acting a different way. Now I don't know how to direct this love. Should I direct it to how I see you acting, or should I direct it to what you just told me, which isn't the truth? It's Yeah, I think when it's unsafe, it creates a bit of confusion. Well, for me,
mm.
for me. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Tandega, and I mean, how do you love when you're safe versus how you love when you're guarded?
But when I'm safe, I feel fully open. I want to share every part of my day with you. I I want to check in on you. I'm just me. I don't have to think about anything. And then when I feel guarded, I feel that's when I have to second guess things. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I check on you? Shouldn't I check on you? How are you going to receive
Yeah,
this?
actually,
And then
yeah.
when I start to feel the should I, once I start to have to feel like have to think twice about
Mm,
something, that's when,
yeah.
okay, I'll approach the conversation. Hey, I feel like you're not receiving me the way that like we were receiving each other or we should be receiving each other because I work very highly
Mm,
on reciprocation. And when I
Mm,
feel like there's no more reciprocation, then I just instantly just pull away. I'll give you a chance to like let me know what am I doing that's making you create a space that's unsafe for me? Or is it maybe
mm,
I'm creating a space that's unsafe for you? So therefore you can't reciprocate and give me a safe space either. So how are we going to make a
mm,
safe space for each other? And if we can't make a safe
right.
space for each other, let's not waste each other's time. Let's just move on.
Mm,
mm.
yeah.
Interesting. Let's
Mm.
go
I
deeper.
like the I like the if it's not safe, what are we doing? Let's just go. Go your way, I
Mm-hmm.
go. Yeah, because
Yeah,
you're gonna
and
frustrate me, I'm
also,
gonna frustrate you. Yeah, I like that.
and also, just how can we fix the unsafe space? You know, what am I doing
Mm,
that is making this space unsafe, or what are you doing? And if it's something
mm,
that we cannot fix, let's keep it moving, right? But
mm,
let's go a bit deeper. I think when I started this conversation, I spoke about how we've had this conversation from the male perspective and how they view intimacy beyond the physical touch. I have a main question, really. So a lot of men were never really shown how to be emotionally vulnerable, you know, so they often express their intimacy through actions instead of words or feeling. Um, so I want to know from, let's start with you, Dumi. As women, how can we create a space of compassion for men to really sort of go into their intimacy language and show it without any shame of being called weak, being called yatefa, yatetema, you too soft. How can we as women create that space of compassion?
I think we can have like I know like these days we have a lot of women conferences and all those type of things.
Mm.
And I think men can also have those type of
we've
workshops.
always had women conferences. Aye, guys, we've always had them. We just never have male conferences. It's not a new thing, that one. It's always women's conference, women's conference. They tell us everything we need to know about men, and then men come into relationships with women. They know nothing about women.
Yeah, maybe we should
Anyway,
have a
that's
men's
But like
conference.
maybe we should have like a that's what I'm saying, male
Mm.
mm,
conferences, and also have like conferences for both men and women so that we can be able to speak about such things.
Create a
And
dialogue.
also teach, yes, and also teach like our young boys from a young age, especially as people like me, a boy mom, so that they grow
Mm.
up being familiar with all these things, so that they're not like the generation of men now, because maybe the like men are like that because of how they were taught, what is it like, what how they were brought up, and how the things that they were taught. So
Mm.
having those
mm,
dialogue conferences where we both have men and women so that we can see each other's perspective and learn, like now what you're doing now, maybe we should have another um conversation like this whereby now you have both men and women, and then we share, and in that way we're able to like
mm,
teach
mm,
each other, like
Mm.
yeah, just make sure that like the conversation is out there and it's something that we always have, so that they are also aware, or like it's okay to do certain things. Yeah.
Mm. Do
mm.
you ladies have anything to add to what Dumi said?
I think men are brought up to know how to interact with each other much more than how to interact with women. And then women are brought up to know with men and not so much with each other, right?
Mm.
And so when we get into relationships, you'll find that a woman knows more about how to relationship with a man, man knows how to relationship with a woman, right? And
Mm.
so a man, the only thing that they'll be good at is providing, and that's it, right? And so when it comes to the things that really matter to the woman, like you need to talk to me, and there's a certain way also that you talk to me. You don't just talk to me
Mm.
as if you're talking to one of your boys. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like there's a certain way you talk to me. There's a certain way you approach me, and there's a certain way in which you touch me also, even if it's not you trying to initiate anything that is physical. You
Mm.
know, you can't come and fist pump me. You can't come and shake my hand. I ain't your boy, right? But men don't know how to do that. And it gets to a point where most of the time you have to teach a man, like, don't, hey, bruh, don't talk to me like that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And it doesn't click for them the first time around when you tell them that no, there's a certain way in which you speak to a woman. You know, the reason why we love talking to each other is because the softness in our voices, we connect through the softness in our voices, right? So that's why we love talking to each other. But if you're gonna come with your bass and you're gonna roar, I
Mm.
ain't having that. Right. And but with them, when they are together as men, what makes them connect is the roars. And so they think that they need to roar everywhere in order for them to get a connection, right? Whereas with women, it's different. And it's the same also with women, right? We already know that when you talk to a man, your voice has got to be soft. You've got to brush him the right way. And it works. But with them, they don't know, right?
Mm.
So I think, yeah. So I think I agree with Dumi to say that perhaps we can start with our boys and just teach them that okay, when to women, it's not just about you don't hit a woman, but there's a certain way that you talk to a woman that you can get her to listen to you, right? There's a certain way you hold a woman's hand that will make her feel safe. There's a certain way you need to act around a woman in order for her to feel safe and and for her to respect you, right?
Mm.
So I definitely agree with that. I'm not sure what our fathers are teaching our boys, man, because when they in order for them to have the sons, like weren't they in relationships for them to have the sons? So I don't get the disconnect in terms of like now you're bringing up you are raising this boy, but you're only raising him in one dimension, and you're forgetting that the same wife that you have, he's also going to have the same problems that you have with the wife. He's probably going to
Mm.
encounter. So the wisdom that you've gained from having to live with a woman, why don't you pass it on? I don't get it, guys. Like I don't get the disconnect. I honestly don't get it. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I think it
Mm.
comes from a different time. Sometimes when you look at like Okokobe and our parents, and you
Mm,
ask them to explain to you what romance was to them, and you can kind of think, yo, these people really, really tolerated a lot. Whereas now we are
Yeah.
having more
mm,
conversations about things, and we
mm,
know how to be softer with one another. Even men now are more aware of like mental health and things. Whereas back then, if you were aware of
yeah.
your mental health as a man, you were being soft. So I
Mm.
think it does
Yes.
come with the generational times. Our parents
Mm,
tolerated a lot, so therefore our fathers didn't teach our brothers how to be soft with women.
mm,
But our brothers now can teach their sons how to be soft with women because they're growing up in this time where we don't
mm.
tolerate just anything.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I like
Mm.
that. I like that. Yeah.
Zandega, while you're still there about olden days and grandfathers, sorry guys, I'm in. So we know about the oh, it's been behaving. I don't know what's going on now, but we know about the sort of stipulated love languages, acts of service, physical touch. What is the other one? Gifts, time, and whatnot. I want to find out, and from all you ladies, I want to find out what's your personal love language or intimacy language, rather. That just speaks to you and your soul. For example, I know it's an act of service, but there's people who say, "I mean, I'm begging, okay. Why would I? Why should I do wife duties on girlfriend?" Da, da, da." I'm like,
Mm,
hey guys, no, listen, I will cook.
Mm.
I will do it. I will find my way to your tummy. That's for me, seeing someone I care about, and it doesn't even have to be a significant other. I think I've said this to Ulihle before. Ukuthi seeing someone I'm close with enjoy a meal I prepared is such a beautiful
Mm.
form of love and form of intimacy for me, because it's like I remember this other day Lisha and I had said we're gonna cook meals and come together and share. She didn't eat her own
Mm.
food, and there was something within myself. I was like, look, that this is great. Actually, this is great, because
Mm.
there's just something so intimate about someone enjoying something that you literally took time to prepare. So for you guys, what's that unconventional intimacy language or love language that you have to express your love? Let's start with you, Tandega.
For me, it is acts of service. I feel okay, me and my partner, we both have this house. We share this house together. So, like right now, he's at work. In my acts of service, for me, the reason I feel I need to perform my acts of service is so he can go out there and be a man and do the things he needs to do so that he can come home and then we can have that intimacy level. So, he'll wake up in the morning. He'll do little acts of service, like maybe take the bins out for me. Then he'll go to work, and then I'll wake up in the morning. I'll clean the house. Everything's polished. He'll come home. The house is smelling nice. I put the candles on. Got a nice cooked meal, a warm meal. Then we come home. We eat together, and we talk about our day. So I think for me, acts of service is if I can service you so that you do what you need to do to bring
Mm,
what you need to bring to our table.
mm,
That's what the important part is for me. His physical touch is his acts of his love language is physical touch. So if I do my
Mm.
acts of service, I receive the physical
Mm.
touch.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Can I just say
Um,
something? Just say something. All men, their love language is physical touch. All of them. It's just ask a man, what's your love language? They will tell you physical touch. All of
Oh,
them.
they know.
that is all they know,
All of them.
honestly. But Lishe,
Yes.
what
Let's
what's
unpack
your
that.
intimacy language?
So let me just understand the question. So see language as in how I receive it or how I give it.
Both intimacy language, love language, how
Both.
you want to receive it, or what you want to receive, and how you want to love, and how you want to be intimate with the next person, basically.
Yeah. So for me, I'm not sure it's not part of the five, but it's just to be understood. Just to be
Mm,
understood.
mm,
That's like I think that's the best way you can love me. Just to understand me, how I think, why I move the way that I move, and why I do the things that I do. I think that's the best way you can love me when you just understand that. Okay, I understand that you are doing A, B, and C because of one, two, three. But take this approach in order for you to achieve that. I
mm,
really appreciate it when someone does that for me. There's a friend of mine who actually came to me and he was like, Yazilile, I've noticed that when it comes to certain situations, you're a bit closed off. And I get it. I understand
mm,
why you are closed off because people can be absolutely mean. It sounds like something really small, but for me, I felt like, whoa, this is huge. Because
mm,
when a person takes the time out to understand you, it means that I don't have to overly explain myself. I can just be you know so
mm,
yeah, so for me, that's how I feel loved, and that's how I also love people. When a person is feels like they're walking on eggshells around me, I don't like that, because now I start questioning myself, like, what is it about me that makes this person uncomfortable, not to talk about certain things or not to do certain things. And so
mm,
I try to just make people as comfortable as possible. And, you get things like, I don't think you want to know what's on my mind. Like, I do, maybe I might not want to know, but I want
mm,
to get to know you. So if you are coming with horrible things, I'm willing to go through that just to know you.
mm,
So and for me, that it works too well to a point where people start getting attached sometimes,
mm,
and not because maybe I'm that awesome, but I think a lot of people don't take the time out to understand each other, you know, get that person who understands you like that. It's like, I want to keep going back there. I want to keep going back there, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Do me.
Well, for me, I think it's different, like different things every day. Today, my love language can be like words of affirmation
Mm.
because maybe like I'm having a bad day, or like you're just giving me compliments and then you just make my day like that. And then tomorrow might be quality time because I want to spend like time with you together and do whatever it is that we like and I mean doing. And
Mm.
then also acts of service. But with me, I don't mind like doing something, especially with for my partner and all of that. But I don't want someone to feel entitled in a way. Like yeah, like I'm married, ne? So my partner knows that as much as I'm going to try and do the acts of services, but like it shouldn't be that thing of saying that now every day to me or my wife, you need to cook for me, I'm a sign pap, whatever, whatever. No, like we are human, so we need to help each other. So I think it's a different love language for each and every for every day, different language every day. But then for me, the most important one is words of affirmation. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
All
Mm.
right.
But can I just put a spin on it, ne? Like
Mm.
imagine, ne, if your partner understood you, and when you walk through the door, they just shower you with words of affirmation because they know you so well that okay, Namhlanjulo needs words of affirmation, and they just give you that. You get what I mean? For me, it's like understand me enough to know what I need per day.
Mm.
Because I
Yes.
don't want to be in a position where I have to explain myself. Oh, can I get flowers today? Oh, can you cuddle me today? It would be nice to just come and your arms are open because you can tell that I need cuddles today. You know?
Mm.
Yeah. I
But
think
you
I think
know,
Dumi and I are
I
saying
mean,
the same.
it would be nice. I'd wanna lie, it would be nice, but where we live in a generation of men who wouldn't even know 5 words of affirmation because their emotional intelligence does not take them there, you know. Because showering means words of affirmations on words of affirmation. So I think once you know they have reached a point where they are emotionally ready to really embrace the intimacy for far beyond the physical touch, far beyond what you can touch, and I think the showering will be more realistic. But I want to ask you, ladies, we've got a full panel of mothers and expecting mothers. Um, if we could rewrite the story of intimacy for the next generation of women, men, you know, what would we teach them? You know, what is one thing you feel if you had learned earlier on, you know, would change the way that you sort of moved in your relationships, whether it's romantic relationships, platonic, Tandega?
I would say don't assume. Don't assume you know what another person wants, and don't assume that they know what you want. Don't assume that you know what's on each other's minds. Always have a conversation, always check in with each other.
Yeah.
What can I do better? What is it you're looking for? What is it you want? Because sometimes you meet a person and it's all dates and gifts and all that at the beginning stage, at the honeymoon stage, and then you with each other, and it's been a year now. The dates have swindled. You're no longer going on dates anymore. You're no longer buying each other flowers. All that stuff kind of just like it dwindles away. So that's when you need to ask each other, okay, now we're at this stage of our relationship. What is it that you're expecting? Don't assume that what you expected at the start is what you expect now. It's like when they say when you get married, you say I do, but you're not just saying I do to the person now. You're saying I do to all the different stages of life that they're going to be in. And at every different
Yeah.
stage of life, you want something different. You expect something different.
Mm.
So I think I would teach the next generation to never assume, always be open to a conversation. Conversate. I love to talk. So just talk.
Mm.
That's all it takes.
Okay. Do you ladies have something to add to that? To me, Lihle?
I think
Yeah, you
she
can
wrote
see
it up. Communication.
yeah.
All right, so
Communicate,
Yeah,
communicate,
com-
communicate.
Tell me, how can we move intimacy from being transactional to being transformational in relationships, right? And I mean that in a sense of, if he doesn't talk to me, I won't talk to him. You know, if he doesn't buy me something, I won't buy anything. You know, so how do we move from that mindset to sort of a transformational mindset? So we'll see, look, I'm gonna do it because I want to and I love him, or I love her, or how can we move intimacy from that one point to this one?
I think we need to be intentional. You
Hmm.
need to be intentional when you want something. Because remember, being in a relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or any other form of relationship, as long as you're not intentional about it, then you will find yourself in situations like that. And
Hmm.
then sometimes you find that you even lose certain relationships over things that could have been communicated and sorted within a split of a second. So we
Hmm.
need to be intentional and communicate so that we avoid having to find ourselves in those spaces. And then after doing that, if you feel like, no, I've tried my best and this is not working, then we move.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
shouldn't just give up without trying.
Mm.
Right. Lihle, how does your intimacy differ from when you're a mother, a daughter, or a sister? How does it how do you section it to accommodate that's a specific role? Or is it the same?
question is that? Like, how do I how do I answer that? I'm just my assumption is it's always sectioned. I just don't know how it's done. Like it's the same as when you go to work, right?
Mm.
All of a sudden you're kind regards. But on WhatsApp, you just
Mm.
like bye. There's no explanation to it. It's just a switch. It's just a
Or
switch
it's an
that you have. And I
automatic
think,
switch, you feel?
yeah, it's an automatic switch according to is expected of you in a particular situation. So
Mm.
I don't know how to answer that question. Like
Mm.
it's just an auto. It's what that question is like, ne? It's like any number multiplied by one remains the same, right? And
Mm.
any number divided by zero is undefined, ne?
Mm.
And then someone is gonna ask you, but why? It's a universal law. Like that's just what it is. But why?
I mean,
That's
I
just what it
agree,
is.
actually. You know, I agree. But you know, sometimes people can switch up. You know, people can switch up. I don't know, man. Umpile is very different when she's around this crowd or she's around you and sometimes you have to be intentional in that switch up and how you show up in your intimacy language in as a daughter, as a mother, as a sister, as a colleague, as a friend, you know. But Tandega, do you also feel like it's an automatic switch?
I feel when Lisa was speaking, I was thinking about it. Like, yeah, I feel like it's an automatic switch because
Mm.
even even with my friends, I have a different way to be with each of them, and I think I
Mm.
meet them where they want to be met. Like, I
Mm.
have
Yeah.
friends who want to go out, um, for bottomless brunch and have a drink every time we see each other. And then I have friends who just want me to come to their house and we watch TV soaps together. And
Mm.
then with my mother, it's just any kind of quality time. I think it's just an automatic switch. I don't necessarily even have to think about it. Even when I'm speaking to them and WhatsApping them, I speak to them according to how I know they they want to be spoken to. I don't, it's not something that I think about. It just happens like code switching.
Mm. Mm. Okay. To me, is it the same for you?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Now let's talk about the evolution. Look, I am nearing the end. I'm actually at the end, but I'm very interested to find out about the evolution of your intimacy language and your intimacy, you know, from the naive you to a more mature you, right? where in your earlier relationships, you're very hopeful. um, Roses were red, violets were blue, and obviously with life and every journey and every hurt, every trauma, every betrayal, that has sort of evolved. I want to find out from you, like how has it evolved? How has it evolved from your naive times to your mature time, with what you know now? Let's start with you, Tandega.
Oh, okay. So I feel like in my younger time, my intimacy was, I was very closed off. I was closed off, but a people pleaser at the same time. So whatever someone expected of me, I believed that I needed to be that. But that made me closed off because I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to receive. I didn't know how I wanted to actually be. It was just, if you need this from me, this is how I need to be. And that puts you in a very depressive state because you're not really being true to
Mm,
yourself. And really, you're not really being true to that person because they don't know who you are because you're literally giving them exactly what they want. And I think as I got older, life happened. I'm I'm I've accepted who I am. I've accepted I don't have to please someone. If you're not happy with the love that I have, then like the door is there. Um, if you're not happy with the type of love that I give, again, let me know what it is that I can change. But I'm no longer a person who bends over for people. And I think it's something that a lot of people feel when they get in their 30s, that we no longer
mm,
bend, we no longer just accept, we demand the type of things that we need and want. So I feel like even in terms of like the physical intimacy, I think I was very, very closed off when I was younger, mid 20s, getting up to now. And now I'm very expressive of how I want my physical intimacy to be. I'm very expressive of how I want my emotional intimacy to be. I'm always having a conversation with my partner. Go to this is what I want. I'm always having a conversation with friends. Even sometimes, like, you have your friends and then maybe you feel like you're pulling away from your friends. I will always be that person to say, hey, I feel like our friendship's not the same. What's going on? Let's have a
mm,
conversation about it. Let's talk about it. I'm a very, very open-minded person compared to the person I used to be, instead of just assuming this is what people want from me, so this is what I'm going to give them.
mm. Do me?
Yeah, I think Tandega is spot on, especially after turning 30. Like something happens with you. Like it's either you're in or you're out, and you speak. If something is not sitting well with you, you just need to just go there directly and address it, and in the most respectful manner, so that it is out there. So, but maybe in my 20s, yeah, I was a bit closed off and I was just complying and I was just doing to fit in and all that. But now, I don't need to fit in anywhere where I feel like I'm not comfortable. I'm gonna tell you that I'm not comfortable with this and that, and in the most respectful manner. And we try to work around it. And then if really we can't, then we move. Yeah.
Mm. Listen?
I think when you turn 13, pay energy for everything, hey? You don't have time for nothing. Energy for like physical energy is gone, emotional energy is gone. Like you just don't have energy for anything. I've always been a loner, ne? And I think being a loner makes you very honest with yourself. And so I've always been honest with people. Like if I don't like something, I don't like it. And if I want to do something, I do it because I want to do it.
Mm,
Whether you feel like I'm doing too much or not, it's because I want to do it. And if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it, right? But
mm,
even in that, there was still like that element of what Tutandega is saying, that people pleaser and yazina, we need to have friends. Therefore, let's do what we can to keep the friendships. And, we need to, you know what I mean? So we need
mm,
some certain relationships. And so let's just do what it is that we need to do to keep the relationships, right? But I think one thing that I've never been, oh, let me not say never, but one thing I've always been okay with is the fact that people come and go, right? And so, because if I decide that I want to leave your life and there's nothing you can do about it, I will leave. And so I always kept it at the back of my mind that even with the relationships that I create, if people decide that they want to go, there's nothing I can do about it. And so I know it sounds a bit offish, but like the door was always open that if you want to go, you can go. But if I want you to stay, I will let you know that before you go today. Right. So yeah. But in my 30s, what am I doing differently in my 30s? I think the door is just wider in my 30s. Like
Mm.
the door is much wider.
Mm.
It's just like, yeah, hey, you can go. You can go.
Definitely. I mean,
Yeah, that's
I
the
completely
difference.
agree. I completely agree. I think in earlier times, the naiveness and the craving to be wanted and loved and accepted really sort of is at a high, and as you grow older, you realize, Uguti, no matter what you do, if that person is going to leave, they are going to leave. You're not going to be everyone's
Yeah.
cup of tea. You can do everything right and still be wrong for that particular situation and person, right? But
Yeah.
as we are at the end of our conversation, I think what we can all agree on and sort of conclude on is that intimacy is not just about touching bodies, right? It's about touching souls, literally just touching each other emotionally, intellectually, whatever, early, but it's not just about touching bodies. Um,
Mm.
when we say we want intimacy, most of us mean we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be understood, we want to be loved in all our layers, right? And I want you guys to just give me your last thoughts, your last thought-provoking thoughts about this conversation, just to round it up as we say goodbye to our audience. Let me start with you, Dumi.
The only thing I can say is I learned a lot, honestly speaking, especially also about myself through some of the stuff that you were saying. So thank you. I can't really say much, but just to say, yeah, my eyes have been opened about certain things, and thank
Mm.
you for the platform. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us today, actually. Lihle?
Um, Going back to Tandega's point, just communicate. Just no one is walking around with an X-ray. They say we can't predict what it is that you want.
Mm.
Just communicate. And I think it's if you don't communicate, you won't get what you want, right? But at
Mm.
the same time, the fear of asking for what you want and not getting what you want yields the same results, right? So it's either you communicate and then the person lets you know that they don't have that or they don't have the capacity, then for you to sit with a need that could be fulfilled but never is fulfilled because you never said anything. So just communicate. And unfortunately, the conclusion that we jump into is to think that people don't appreciate honesty, but when honesty is given, people actually appreciate it way more than we think. Yeah.
Okay. Tandega?
Um, yeah, pretty much the same thing I've been saying. It's just to don't expect without communication. Rather communicate and accept where you need to
Mm,
change. But you won't get
mm,
anywhere without speaking up. Like speak your
yeah.
truth. That's all you need to do is speak your truth and understand the other person's truth, and then meet
Yeah.
each other halfway and accept where you're going moving forward. In
Mm,
terms of your physical intimacy, your emotional intimacy, your spiritual, none of these things can just be
mm,
known by the other party without communicating them, and they certainly won't be met by just expectation and assumption.
mm.
Mm. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Intimacy beyond the physical touch from the female perspective. Intimacy is not just about what happens in the bedroom, like I said earlier. It's about what happens in silence, in laughter, in the trust, and in spaces where we feel seen and safe and heard, really. As women, we truly do carry stories of intimacy that are layered with pain, beauty, silence, and resilience. But today we have reclaimed the right to redefine intimacy for ourselves. or rather define it if we weren't really at a space to define it in the first place, as something that goes beyond the body, as something that touches the soul. Um, I really would like us to walk away from this conversation knowing that intimacy starts with ourselves. It is rooted in truth, in communication. It is sustained with love or by love. Um, Love that is gentle, honest, and safe, right? But for today, that brings us to the end of our conversation. Thank you so much for joining me in navigating this topic. You guys were absolutely phenomenal. Um, well, until next time. Until next time, have a good evening and goodbye.